we'll discuss some optimization techniques as well. Okay. Something went wrong. Server. Networking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we will discuss some topics. Yeah, as I mentioned, here we can see some CTE, right? We will see like what is a CTE and what is use of this. CTE is something like the common table expression. This will call it as a common table expression. And like whenever you want to perform some transformations, and like on the basis of that table, like some other table needs to execute. Some other table needs to execute. In that case, like instead of creating the multiple tables, like what this CTE will do, it will create something like some temporary table, some temporary CTE common table expression. It will create, and that temporary you can use. And like post execution, if you want to read the table, you can't able to read that because it's something like it's a temporary basis. Okay, let me create two tables. Let me take a customer table. Create table customers customer ID int. I don't. I will use something like primary key. Customer name. Varchar. And country. Just I will use this table. This is something like the customer table, and like that we will use another table, something like order table as well. Create table orders and order ID and this we will mark it as a primary key and like order date. Just I will use date and total amount. Decimal and just I will give 10 comma 2 comma order status care 20, comma, and here we need to use the customer ID because if you want to perform join, you have to use that. And just I will use something like foreign key. Foreign key. See, we can give something like the reference ID. What this reference will be to, like if that field exists in the table, then only it will then only those changes will be added here, or else the changes will not be added. Like whatever the values you have created here, same values you have to create here as well. So like a reference of the table. Yeah. If I try to create it, it will give some error. Yeah, see, invalid. Syntax something. Put a comma. Yeah, the reference customer is not exist because we need to create first this table. Okay, now let me create this customer table. Customer ID. Yeah, command executed successfully. Now let me create this order table. Customer ID. Or else like just we will do something like this. I'm not sure. Like already I have declared here, but still it is saying like it is not reflecting. Okay, for now I will go with some normal customer ID and just I will put some customer ID same values. I'm not sure like why it is doing something. I'll come back on this one later. Just I will put integer here and let me try to run this. Yeah, the command executed successfully. Let's don't. I don't want to waste some time. Okay, just I will create some. I will let me insert few values. Insert into customers. Okay, now four curves got affected. Now let me insert another table. Let it be. Just I'm inserting these records now. Yeah, 11 rows got affected now. Now what I want to do, I want to implement a city on top of this. Okay, how this city will be implemented? Like a city is, as I discussed, is something like a common table expression. City is nothing but a common table expression, and like whenever you want to write some queries, and then on top of that you want to perform some transformations, and like instead of creating some multiple tables, just we can create one table and we can use like wherever you we want. Okay, for example, let's take one scenario. Like you want to find out, like figure out like the customer who has spent like more than $100, something like that. You want to find out, but like we have inserted. Okay, just we will change that. We just you want to find out, and what else? Let me truncate this. At table, we have the same price for all. Just I will change that. Truncatable orders. Truncated here 8 7 something 4,000 1,250. I will insert this data. Yeah. Now this records is we can able to see some data here. Okay, fine. Now we need to write some city key, right? How we will do? First, select what we want to select. I want to select something, the customer ID. I want customer ID. Customer ID, comma, sum of uh, total amount. Here we have some total amount, right? Some total amount, and total amount as sales from orders table, and I want to perform group by on customer ID. Group by customer ID. And whenever I run this, I got this information. Okay. For this customer, he spent around 1800 and he spent around like 2200 and he spent around 1000, he spent around 400. Number 4 spent around 400. Okay. And these are the prices, the total sales of each and every person. And this information I want to pass in somewhere like in some other table. Just I want to call this in some other table. See, like if I want to call this, right, whatever the transformation I have performed, I have to store this in some other table. I don't want to save this in some other table. For that, what I will do, I will put bracket here and here as well. And before this, I will add something like with and customer sales. Sales. I will put something like this as okay. And whenever I want to execute, right? I like if let me execute this. Invalid syntax. Okay, let me write some query. Select and customer ID, comma, and customer name. I want customer name and I want total sales. Total sales from customer table. From this customer sales. This I will mark it as a CS because we will get ambiguous error. And here customer address control CS dot, and for customer name, like we need to use from customer table, right? For now I'll put as a C dot, and the total sales we need this from the CS dot from the customer sales. And I want to perform some join here. Join, and from which table I want to join? I want to join on customer table because I have the name information in that table, the customer table. On what basis I need to join? I need to join on the basis of customer ID. On customer ID equals to customer ID, and here we need to mention something like CS dot and C dot because both the fields are existing. The both say like same fields are existing in the both the tables. Okay, and where CS dot total sales greater than 1000. See, whenever I have executed this, we have seen something around like 2200 and 1000 and something around like 22,000, 1800, something like different prices we have seen. And like we want to select only the greater than 1000. See, let me execute this. We'll see together. C dot customer ID could not be bound. In line number 182 and 83. Select customer, it is there here. Add CS dot customer ID, C dot customer name, comma CS. Let me run this selector query. Okay, customer sales, right? Okay, let me run. Multi-part identifier. What does it mean? Okay, I have missed some alias here. That is the case. Now we will see. Yeah, now we can able to see the customer name. See whoever having the customer total sales something around like greater than 1,000 we can see. And let me add the customer ID here as well. We'll see like what is the customer ID. C dot customer ID. CS. Let me add CS here. Let me run this. Yeah, now we can able to see. Yeah, here the alias was missing because of that reason we are getting some account. Yeah, see if you observe what I'm doing, I am selecting required fields the customer ID and the total amount as a total sales from the order table, and here I'm grouping based upon the customer ID to remove the duplicate values. Because I'm performing some aggregation here, the sum here. So whenever I perform this one, right, and some output I will get some output like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and whatever the output I have got here, and that I have added to this alias, this city. This will call it as a common table expression. And this city, what we are doing, and this city we are writing some select query here, and here inside this select query we are using this city here, customer sales as a here. This is calling this as a table. Okay, and on top of this table, whatever the output we got here, on top of this, I am performing the join with the customer table to get the customer names. Like which customer is purchasing more than which customer is having more than $1,000, something around like that. I am joining on basis of the customer ID and like where the total sales greater than 1,000. And if I put something like equals to, then I will get another value. The 1,000 also I will get. Previously I mentioned only the greater than, so I got only 22,000 and 1,800. Only I got 2,200 and 1,800. Okay, and now like I have mentioned something equals to, now I got this the 1,000 as well. Like this common table expression will be used. This common table expression, how it works, like here you no need to create some separate table. Like see, if you try to execute this table, right, it will say some, like it won't store this table. Just it will be in memory for a while. Like whenever it's not in memory, like whenever you are executing a query together, you want to execute that city as well. That's it. Like you can't able to what I can say, like just if I execute this it will run, and then I can use that somewhere else. It's not something like that. You can't you able to use something like that. Whenever you are executing query, you have to execute that city along with your main query wherever you're calling that city, then only it will work, else it will throw some error. See, invalid syntax, incorrect syntax, and but whenever I execute together, it will execute. Okay, you have to execute together. This will call it as a CTE. And we have something like different types of what I can say like ranking functions, like which we use in real time cases. Like in few cases, we will use that ranking functions. See, like ranking functions are mainly used for like just we are having different types of ranking functions. Something like a row number, rank, dense rank, and something. Like we are having different. These are the mainly used: the row number and rank and dense rank. This will be used on top of your field. On top of your field, this will be used. For example, already we have this, right? We have this table. For example, assume already we have this table, and on top of this table, you want to insert the row number. What this row number will do in the ranking functions, it will pass the unique values on top of your. It will pass the unique values. For example, let me create select. I will put row number over partition by. I will take customer ID order by order date DESC as row number from orders. See what it will do? It will create the unique row number. Let me add star here. Syntax. Yeah. If you observe here, it is created a row number here. See, this is something like a row number. It is created, but like it should be unique. But I am not sure like, on what basis it is give something like this. So customer ID, I will give the order ID. Okay, it is giving a way because it is working on partition, right? It is giving like it is dividing the number and it is passing the same number for all the rows. So as far as like we will remove this partition by Instead of partition, directly we will add this order ID. Thus only we'll put this order by. Yeah, see, now it is giving. Like whenever you perform some partition, right? Like wherever it finds that value, only on top of that value only it will give. We need to like if you perform the partition, like it divides that value. Like wherever it finds, it will give only that value. Now we have removed the partition, so like it is giving the unique values. The row number is something like if you want to assign for each and every row some unique value, for that this row number will be used. And yeah, for like that only this row number will be used. And we have something like a rank and dense rank. We have something like the rank and dense rank. See, like the rank and dense rank, these are very common things which we will use. Like whenever you want to, like the data will be populated something like a differently here. Whenever the values are same, right? Like it will skip the values. Let me show you like how it works. Let me take this one only. Just instead of row number, I will put it as a rank here. Rank here, and over number by here instead of order date, we will put the total amount. Order rank. Let me run this. Yeah, it is giving 1, 2, 3, 4. Section from rank. Order by. Here we will add partition by total amount. We will put something like the customer ID. Somewhere it's not working. Okay, I think somewhere it is not working. I will get back with some other table and I'll come up with a different syntax. Okay, these are like a few topics which I want to discuss. Let me pitch into the data factory. Let me pitch into the data factory. There is nothing much to discuss in here in SQL side. We have covered almost like all the topics, and like meanwhile you people have to practice on the SQL side. Okay, let me discuss. Let me give the brief introduction on Azure Data Factory, like what is Azure Data Factory and why we need, and like why, what is the purpose of Azure Data Factory. See, as we know, Azure Data Factory is a cloud-based ETL service. It's a cloud-based ETL service. And what is why we are calling something like ETL means ETL in sense like it is mainly used for extract, transform, and load. It is mainly used for extract, transform, and load. Sure. Factory. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's a ETL tool. It is something like ETL tool. What this will do, it is having the capability to connect 90 plus connectors, 90 plus source systems. It is having the capability to connect 90 plus source systems, and it will connect to those source systems and like whatever the data it is having, and it is having the capability to load to read different types of files. It is having the capability to read different types of files. And what this will do, it will read whatever the data you want to read, right? We have to pass that as an input, and whatever the data you are passing as an input, and it will take that input, and based upon that input it will fetch us the data from that particular source system, and then it will move the data into the target system. It will read and it will transfer the data into the target system. And for this, right, for this Azure Data Factory, and like we are having some basic, like we are having some components here. Key components will be there. Like if you want to perform any task, if you want to create any pipeline, few components are mandatory. Something like we have something like a pipelines. And what this pipeline will do, it is something like it's a logical grouping of a activities, multiple activities, and multiple activities will be used in a one pipeline. Okay, multiple activities will be used in one pipeline. Pipeline is nothing but it's a logical grouping of activities, and together will be executed a pipeline. Together will executed a pipeline, and with the help of scheduling, or we can trigger like either we can schedule a pipeline or we can trigger that pipeline manually. And this activity, right? We have discussed something, we have mentioned just now. We have something like key components, and that we have something like in pipelines, and post that we have activities. We have, and here we are having around 70 to 80 plus activities we have, like around 30 to 40 I think so activities we have, and different data flows we have, data flow transformations we have. And with the help of these activity is something like it is having each and every activity is having like its own logic, inner logic. Let's take one example. We have something like a copy activity. What that copy activity will do, it will copy the data from one source to another source. And we have something like a lookup activity. What that lookup activity will do, lookup activity, it fetches some data and it will provide for you for inner pipeline execution. And we have something like execute activity, something like that. We are having different types of activity, and for those activities are for different purpose. We have something like filter, if condition, like that, store procedure. Like this, we are having different types of activity, and based upon your requirement, you will connect these. You will drag and drop those activities, and you set up a connection, and you read required data. On top of that, whatever the action you want, you will perform, and then you will write the data in the target system. Okay, like that will be used. And we have something like a data set. And what this data set will do, Data set is something like it's a reference point of your data. And what this data set will do, like it find out like what type of data you are reading from your source, like what type of data. See, we are having different types of files, something like Avro, Orc, or else like something like Parquet, CSV, Excel, XML, JSON. Like this, we are having different types of files. And whenever if the pipeline knew, if the pipeline or if activity wants to understand like what you are doing, and based upon your data set, whatever the features you are having in that activity level, those will be changed. If you select the pocket, few options will be disabled. Like the activity level, options will be changed. And if you select CSV on activity level, changes will be changed. And based upon your data set, the options will be changed in activity level. And pipeline, like you can't able to execute empty pipeline. At least one activity must be there inside a pipeline. At least one, minimum one activity. Without activity, you can't able to execute a pipeline. At least one activity we need to place. See, pipeline dependence on the activities dependence on the data sets, and data sets are dependent on the linked services. And what these linked services will do, and it stores the connection string in the sense like to which source system you want to connect. For example, you want to connect to the Oracle system, or else you want to connect to the SQL server, or you want to connect to some other system. Like whenever you want to connect to some source systems, right, during that time you have to pass some connection details. The connection details, the host name or some username and password, all these details you have to pass. Then only the connection will be established. Then only the connection will be established. Else you can't able to connect to the source system. If you want to connect to the source system, then yeah, with the help of the linked services only, we can able to connect to the source system. If the linked service is able to connect, then you can able to read and you can perform some transformations on top of that. Not transformations, just some like some. You can add some filters on top. That can be doable. Okay, let me show you like how to create a data factory. Like in Azure portal, right? We have something like a data factories. We have something like data factories. For this data factory, right? We don't have something like upfront cost. And like whenever you create this data factory, and if you are not using also, they are not going to charge for you. I will take just one FMC. Let it be. Okay, and next, and I will select this kit later, and next, let it be. I don't have anything here. We don't have much options here. We can configure this kit later. Yeah, the deployment completed successfully. Let me open this and whatever we have discussed, right? Let me show you. Data factories. Yeah, if you click on this, right, you can see something like Launch Studio. We need to click on this. Like we have something like the two ways we can able to log in. Either you can go with the Launch Studio, or else like you can go with something like ADF dot Azure dot com. You can search something like this. See, now it will ask you to, if you are having something like multiple data factory services, then it will ask you to select. We have only one, right? Just we have to select and we need to click on continue. You can go with adf.azure.com, or else you can go to portal and you can open that Azure Data Factory, and you can click on the launch page, like Launch Studio. And this is the Azure Data Factory. In this, we are having so many features. As I mentioned, like we can configure that Git later. You can see something like the setup code repository. We can set up that. And like what this setup code repository will do, like whatever the pipelines you are creating, that will be created as a files, some JSON files, and with the help of that files, you can move the files into the higher environments. For that, it is mainly used. And as I mentioned, see, you can see something like the pipelines, CDC, change data capture, and data sets, data flows, and power queries. And let me open, let me try to show you like whatever we have discussed so far. See, this is the pipeline, this is the pipeline, this is the empty pipeline. See, this is the pipeline. If I try to publish it, it won't, because why? See, the pipeline one should have at least one activity. See, as I mentioned, in pipeline, always we have to add at least one activity. Even if you try to debug, it won't run. It won't, because always it will fail. See, whenever I drag and drop some activity, see, just I will drag and drop, and you can see something like fixed. See, you can see something like fixed. Now, if I publish, now it will be published successfully. See, now I'm not getting this error. Now I'm not getting that error. See, that's what, as I mentioned, at least if you want to run or if you want to save your pipeline, at least you have to place one activity. At least you have to place one activity. And like these are the activities. These are the activities. We are having different types of activities. You can see copy data and data flow, notebook, Spark, job definition, and Azure Data Explorer, Azure Functions, Azure Batch Services, Data Bricks, and Data Lake Analytics, and General Services, and HD Insights. So many services, the like iteration services, and some machine learning services, and some Power Query services. Sorry, not services. These are the activities. Sorry for that. These are the activities. All these activities was there. All these are the activities. And now, see, as I mentioned, like whenever you want to read, right? Whenever you want to read the data, always, like, see here, if I go to source, right, you can see something like a source data set. It is asking the source data set. Okay. And if you want, like, if you want to create a pipeline, right, first you have to set up this source data set. Source data set. And then post that you have to add the target data set. You have to add the target data set. See here, the pipeline, inside the pipeline we have to drag and drop the activities. Inside the activities we have to select the data set, and inside that we have to select the linked services. Now let me click on this and add new data set, because we don't have anything here. If I click on this drop down, nothing. See, no result was found because we haven't created. Either like we can create from here, or else we have something like one more option. We can see something like the data sets. We can click on this plus sign, a new data set, and like for which service you are looking for. As I mentioned, like all these are the services. Like for all these services, you can able to connect for all these services. Azure Data Factory will support to these many services. Okay, And if you select this Azure, right, only it will be displayed only Azure services. These are the Azure services. Okay, now I want to set up two Azure blob storage. Example, I will connect to this blob and see, as I mentioned, the data set is something like it's a reference point of your data to which source system you want to connect and what type of data you want to read. And now I will select something like binary. Binary in the sense like just it's a normal data. Like a binary in the sense the unstructured data, we'll call it as a binary. And now what I will do, I will click on new and here I will pass my the credentials. This is blob storage. Yeah, let me test this connection. Just I have created. Okay, let me browse. Yeah, input. Yeah, I will select this lean stream. Okay, and okay. See, I have selected this. See, I have selected the binary data set, right? Now what I will do, I will select this. See, whatever the data set I have created here, same data set I can see in this drop down. Okay. And now what I will do, and I will add this target also. I want to store this in the data lake set and binary. See, if you are using the binary in source and you have to use target also binary. And let me browse here and just I will select this. I think we don't have that file. Yeah, we don't have the link stream here. Just I will continue with this. See, now what I have done, I have added some copy activity and I have added something like the source as a block and target as a Z2. And like how I'll get to know like whether I have selected uh, the blob and the Z2. See here you can see those details. And if you click on this edit, you can see like what source system you have selected. See, this is the service, the blob service which you have selected. And if I open another data set, sync, let me open this and you can able to see here. See, if I click on this edit, you can see all the connection details here. See, and this is the storage account for which I am going to connect. Okay, yeah, I have connected to two different source systems. One is blob, and I want to pull the data from blob to data lake set. You will see. Let me open the blob. This is a data lake set 2. Yeah, hierarchical namespace is enabled. So this is data lake set 2. And this is blob storage. This is a blob storage, and let me open this input. Yeah, we can able to see something like in historical load. And if let me open this container. Yeah, let me open this input. Yeah, the link stream file was not exist. Now let me go here, and now what I will do, I will debug this. See, like here if I open this input, right, and you can able to see like what is happening over there. And we will get one more thing, the spread sign also. You can see something spread sign here. And here see the data, it is reading the data from the block, and it is writing the data into the data lake Zen2. And like how many files it read only one file. And like this is the file size, and this is the peak connections, and like this is the throughput, and this is the start time, and how many parallel copies it is used, and all this information you can see here. All this is metadata information you can able to see. And this run id, like whenever you run each and every pipeline, one run id will be created, and that run id will be in unique format. It will be in unique format. It is not something like you can't find duplicates in run ids. Sorry, run ids, activity run ids. See, and let me go to this input container. You can see here it's in blob storage, and now you can't able to see it. Let me refresh this. See, you can see the lean stream, and it is written here on 30th at 12:30. See, like this, the data will be written from source to target systems with the help of Azure Data Factory. And see, if you won't publish this, right, without publishing, if I try to refresh, right, let me refresh. If I refresh, right, nothing will be there. You can't see anything here. See, just now I have created some file set. You can't able to see that file. And just now I have created two data sets. You can't able to see those data sets. Nothing will you can't see. If I go to monitor, and you can able to see that log data. Just now we have executed that, right? You can able to see that, but the pipeline is not at all exist. See, just now we have executed it. We have like just now we have triggered this pipeline. See, you can able to see this, but the pipeline is not exist because without publishing, if you refresh this table, like you will lose like whatever the pipeline you have created, that will be gone. Okay. If you want to save that, then you have to publish that pipeline. Then only it will be saved. Else it will be removed. Right? Whenever you are creating a pipeline, always you have to follow one standard name. Why I am saying standard name? See, just now I have created one pipeline. I will create one more pipeline. Like this, I will create multiple pipelines. And now, like whenever I create multiple pipelines, you can see something like pipeline one, pipeline two, pipeline three. And but like you can't able to understand. Like if someone comes newly, right, they can't able to understand like what is pipeline one, pipeline two, pipeline three. Like just they want to see like how this pipeline is working. For example, like from blob to data like Zen2. Always we have to follow some standard names, something like pl underscore and blob blb underscore to Gen2. And if you have some name, right, something like some blob and Zen2 name, right, you can pass that name here. You can pass that name. So like it is very easy. Or else for each and every project they will use their own databases. Else like you can pass some fmcg. So like even if multiple projects using same data factory, even though like with the help of this fmcg, yeah, fmcg, they are using this pipeline to move the files from blob to deadline center. Like this you have to follow some name. See, whatever the name I gave, the name has been modified as per we modified in the pipeline level. So once they see this pipeline name, right, yeah, this pipeline is used for this project to move the data from blob to design. Like this, as like some other project was there, some other team was there in pipeline 2. I assume in pipeline 2 they're using they're reading the data from oracle to sql, azure sql example. Now pl underscore oracle to sql, and here I will add scm. This is my supply chain management is my project name. Like this, see, now this is, you can see, you can able to understand like what is there in which pipeline. It is very easy compared to previous one. In pipeline 1, pipeline 2, pipeline 3, you can't able to understand, nothing you will be understandable there. Here you can able to understand, like if you pass the proper name, and not only here, even on activity level also. Here, right? Whenever you see some copy activity, right? Here, see, whenever I drag and drop this activity, and here you can see something like copy data one. It should not be something like this. It should not be something like this. Like you have to give something like copy, CP. CP is something like the terminology which is used for copy, and CP, and like what type of like what type of transformation you are performing here. Like you can say something like here as well. And assume like you are passing some, you are reading and passing some parquet. Can you parquet? Parquet. And some, he has some project name, you can put some project name. That is also fine. See, like this you can pass. See, something you have to follow some standard names on activity level and on pipeline level. Not only on activity and pipeline, even on trigger level and even on data flows level. Each and every level, whenever there is an option to rename that particular activity or that particular pipeline, like you have to rename that with the proper naming convention, so that then only you can able to understand that properly. Else you can't able to understand. Not only you, others also can't able to understand. Okay, see, like whatever the action, whatever the drag and drop things I am doing, right, that will be converted into the JSON code in backend. See, just now I gave him this is the copy activity, and this is the copy activity name, and this is a timeout, and this is a interval, and this is a secure input and output was false, and all these things will be populated, and like whatever the options was we have given here, and accordingly the code will be modified. Example, like here I will, instead of 30, right, I will give something like 60. Here you can see something like in JSON, right? Here you can see something like 30, right? Now it will be modified with 60. See, I have updated with 60. If I go here, see, this got updated with 60. See, like whatever the details you are passing on pipeline level, on activity level, those will be changed in the JSON level as well. Okay.